One of the major themes on this channel tends to have to do with human nature and how it applies to the situations in which we find ourselves. In addition to me just wanting to kind of flesh out the ideas that other people present in their videos, or just kind of maybe they misinterpret, or at least I feel they misinterpret. I also like to kind of explain why certain things happen the way that they happen in relation to what we are as human beings and, how that influences how people do things. Now, the question that came up in this video is Triggernometry talking with a gentleman by the name of Roger Morehouse, who seems to be an expert on the World War II era. And the question that came up is, why is it that the German people, who tend to be very pragmatic and no BS and, very direct about things, seem to have such a hard time resisting Hitler during the World War II Nazi era, especially towards the end when things started going really wrong and Hitler didn't want to hear anything from anybody and the German people were just like, okay, whatever you want, sir. It seems very un-German-like based off of the way that their society is today and how we see it. Now, I don't think that German society, outside of just, really suppressing their aggressive tendencies, I don't really think that the German mindset has changed much over the past 100 years or so. So, yeah, I have to believe that back then they tended to be pretty pragmatic and direct and, hated waste and wanted to get to the most direct answer to problems and things like that. So why? Why would it be that Hitler could raise this Nazi party and just storm through Germany convincing people to follow him? And the reason is that, just like every animal, when you're in a situation where you feel like your survival is at stake, you start becoming willing to do more than you normally would be. You start being willing to go way further down dark paths than you normally would be when times are good. We always have to keep in mind that World War II is an extension of World War I, and the German people were very angry, and they were in a really bad spot because they lost World War I. The West came and, hammered down hard on them, and, probably rightfully so, but at the same time, there needs to be some measured balance so you don't make enemies that want to come back and hurt you again. And the West kind of made some big mistakes with the way that they handled the end of World War I. So you have people living in this nation that was humiliated by their loss in World War II, further humiliated by the terms put down by the West after World War I, and they're struggling to survive. Their economy is in shambles. They're supposed to pay back all this debt. They don't know how to do it. They're not allowed to have a military, and everybody in the country just feels angry and hopeless. And when you start becoming captured by that mindset, it becomes very easy for somebody to come in and start manipulating you into doing things you otherwise would be horrified by. And it happens slowly over time. It's not like Hitler came in and started saying, I want to kill the Jews and I want to do war with the rest of the world. No, he started coming in telling everybody what they wanted to hear. And slowly, over the course of a decade, he changed the German government in a way that allowed him to take control and build up this vision for the people of a powerful Germany that was able to rule. Not even, it wasn't even really towards the end until he really started pushing the we need more space agenda. It was only when he actually started attacking other countries towards the end of the peaceful era, the peaceful era of the Nazi time, that he really started pushing that stuff. And no matter how advanced we like to think that we are with our technology that allows us to instantly communicate with each other over a global span, or to even travel from one side of the globe to the other in the space of a day, or, all of the different crazy things that we've developed over the course of the last 150 years, our brains may be highly evolved, but they're built on an extremely primitive platform. When you look at the deeper parts of your brain down here towards, where it actually connects to the base of your skull, that is something that hasn't really changed over the course of thousands and thousands of years, maybe millions of years. And as much as we don't like to think about it, that is really the strongest and most powerful part of our brain. The reason why some people lose their temper and go into a rage and sometimes commit really heinous crimes because of it is because that part of your brain is the strongest and most brute force part of it. And when things start really tapping into that part of your brain, whether it's, somebody pisses you off and you start acting out in anger, or somebody is trying to make you afraid of what is and provides you with easy solutions to overcome those things, That taps right into the part of your brain that's just survival mode, survival mode, survival mode. And no matter how advanced your society is or how pragmatic or intelligent you might be as a person, you cannot escape the fact that all of that advanced evolutionary development of your brain and all of the technology that we have and the advanced societies that we like to believe are infallible is built on ancient, prehistoric, primitive biology. I mean, it just is. And that's going to have a major effect. So when you ask the question of, well, why were the Germans able to be taken advantage of by this insane guy who had plans for world domination and wanted to do all of this crap? Well, it's because the smartest person can be taken over by somebody who knows how to play to that base, primitive, animal part of our brain. And that's always the way that it is. Each one of us hears stories about people who were taken advantage of by somebody who offered something that sounded way too good to be true. And you look at that person and you're just like, how the hell did you get suckered in by that? And it's because your situation has a huge degree of influence on how you respond to external stimuli. And if you're in a situation where you feel like everything is just so desperate and you need a solution right now, and oh my God, I need to get out of this situation, and somebody comes along with something that, you know, in reality, if you stop to think about it, just sounds completely insane. But in the moment, with just a passing thought of what they're talking about, sounds like, oh my God, this could be my salvation. I got to do this. I don't care how smart you are and how good at seeing bullshit you think you are. Enough desperation will blind you and make you close your eyes to things that seem obvious when you're looking at it from an objective standpoint. And this is the answer to why Germany went into World War II the way that it did, because they were desperate and somebody came along with a solution that passed muster just enough for them to close their eyes and just accept that he was providing them with a way out of the bad times that they were in. And when enough time passes and you blindly trust somebody long enough, they can start convincing you to do things you wouldn't otherwise do because, you know, they seem to be saving you from a problem, and you don't want to look too closely at it, because if you shun the person that's saving you, then, you know, you go back to the situation you were in, and nobody wants that. So the answer to the question is, you know, the reason why people as pragmatic and just no bullshit as the German people could be taken by such an insane person is just because we are at our roots an animal. No matter how, we are a highly advanced and evolved animal, but we are still an animal. And we are still ruled by our animal instincts. And it doesn't matter what layers you pop on top of that, unless we can somehow remove that animal part of who we are without ruining the rest of it, that is going to be something that millions of years in the future, if we're still here, that's going to continue to influence the way that we behave, because there's just something so powerful and primitive about that part of our brain that it just overrides every other more advanced part of what we are. Computers work that way, and we work that way. The basic programming that makes us who we are is the fundamental thing that causes us to behave in the way that we do. And if you're put in a stressful enough situation, you're going to default to your base programming because you need rapid responses that more complex programming just can't keep up with. And that's just the way it goes. So that's all I wanted to say. Hopefully that made some kind of sense. Be sure to hit that like button, subscribe to help us reach our first 1,000 subscribers, and I'll see you for the next one.